We're back, Victor.
We're back, Ed. How we doing?
I'm doing great. How about Mike Palermo stepping in last month?
He was in there. He was batting, man. He was
He
batting.
got in the box. I think I saw him in the group there.
He did well, man. He did well. He was a little nervous, but he did well.
So maybe they don't want me back. Maybe Mike next time. But I think maybe we'll bring Don in next time.
Don
for the commercial. Don. Knock 3 times, Don.
Yeah, I think Don would. I would be afraid to do something with Don. So I'm just letting her know. I don't know about that. I don't think I'm ready for Don. But you told me we might have Tim.
You're gonna have Tim Tarantella tomorrow for the residential.
Tarantella.
See him there.
Fresh meat. Tim Tarantella. Bring him on the set with Victor Antonio. It ain't gonna be pretty, man. It ain't gonna be pretty.
Hey, man, who do you see out there? Mark Johnson woke up. Mark, we looked at you early on when you signed on so early, and you looked like you were sleeping. Welcome.
We got somebody with too many names. Mary Kate Grady.
Oh, there you go.
Mary Kate Grady. MKG.
John Coulter.
Yeah.
Kim Drew's out there. Penny
Catherine,
Salazar.
Nikki. Why Nikki? Why Nikki? That doesn't make sense. You know, we have to explain that one, man. And I see Tyler Nixon. Look at that mustache. That's a stash, man. You could tell that guy gets up, he just carves that baby really nice, just really slow.
There's
really
Angie Almonte. She's number one like on President's Club list. She's not paying attention
Angie's
though.
Awesome, man.
Our President's Club list just came out yesterday, and they're posted on there. I'll share it with everybody tonight.
Yeah.
Both the sales and the sales managers. But
Okay.
yeah, her and Emmanuel leading the pack up there for the commercial folks. Yeah.
Really?
Absolutely. Who else you see there?
Jeffrey Stevens looking too cool, leaning back in the chair, black curtain in the background. Yeah, I get you. Penny, what's happening? Salazar, I see you.
Marty Cotter,
Kimberly,
Brett Kermés.
Kimberly Dew. Kimberly, I swear to you, you look like you're like in some type of room where they're interviewing you and tough questions are coming your way, like a witness protection plan. All right, we're in the room right now. I have to answer these working questions. All right,
Victor,
let's go. What?
We were giving away money last month, right?
We were. By the way, which is shocking because you never give away money.
But we had money because we were making money.
Well, yeah, I've said that, Ed. I've said if you're making money, let's share.
We're gonna share. So we had a contest.
Yep.
To pick the winner of the men's bracket and the winner of the women's bracket.
Yeah.
And believe it or not, on the men's bracket, there were only 7 people on the commercial broadcast that picked UConn.
Okay.
Only 7. Now, South Carolina, and they were the favorite in the men's bracket, but not 7 people picked it out of like 300. Okay. So on the women's bracket,
even though they were favored.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Now South Carolina, that was a different story. On the women's bracket, they ended up winning. They were both of them were the number 1 seeds, but we had to do a little random draw. So on the for the men's bracket, Brian Hogan is our winner. So he's going to get a $300 ham. Oh, look at him. He's all excited.
Brian Hogan's on. Yeah, by the way, he was totally ignoring us until he heard his name like, oh, yeah, I'm into this broadcast now. I'm in, Vic, I'm in. Yeah, way to go, Brian.
He's going to pay attention.
Yeah.
Look for that in your email inbox over the weekend here, so we'll get you squared away.
Yeah.
And then on the winner on the South Carolina, there were 29 people that picked South Carolina to win it. You know, it's like more than 15% of the people picked South Carolina. And Trish Caples was the winner of the random draw. So Trish is the winner there.
Well done, Trish.
Hey,
I don't watch basketball that much.
Yeah.
But who was that young woman that was just scoring like 40 points or something? That she was just launching from the other side of the court.
Caitlin Kelly shooting those Steph Curry threes, those bombs.
It was like, what was that? Even though I'm watching the reels, because I think she did like 9 3-pointers or something like that.
Yeah.
I'm like, who is that woman? Yeah. Straight to the NBA. Screw the WNBA. Straight to the NBA.
She should have stayed in school and got the nil money.
Yeah, it could be.
Why? I think she signed she's going to sign a WNBA contract for like $300,000, and I think she made $4 million last year. Just in nil money while she was in college.
What do you mean $300,000?
Very, very little amounts in the women's basketball league. Just crazy.
Caitlin Clark, yeah. Avery has it. Is that it for a contract though?
What do you mean?
I
don't know. Somebody put in the chat.
What did she get? Like, what's
she going to get?
Was she a first-round draft pick?
Well, she's going to be the number 1 pick. I don't know.
How do you get $300,000 only?
I may be on the short side of that.
Somebody
put a number.
Marty says nobody watches.
Oh, Marty's going to get in trouble. Why, Marty?
Marty. Are you trying to start a feud between the Hatfields and the McCoys here? Let's not do that. All right, let's get into numbers before we get into trouble.
Yeah, let's do some numbers. So we ended the first quarter in really good shape.
Great.
Commercially, we had an outstanding first quarter. We had a little bit of a slippage in March, but let's talk about that a little bit. Local commercial sales in March are up 5%. So that's a little bit of a shortfall because year to date through the first quarter, we're up 12%. So if we did 5 in March in the first 2 months, we convert to 12% total. we had a little slip there. On the team sales, we had another slip in March on team sales, only 2% over last year. Year to date, we're up 23%. So, we're picked that back up. One of the other things, too, about March is that we had 2 less selling days in March, and that really impacts it. It's just the way the calendar fell. Now, the cool thing is we picked those 2 days up in April, and I tried to explain that to my boss why we had these little bit of a miss, but he wasn't buying much of it, Victor. He wasn't buying much of it. So we get the days back this month, so you got to get caught up on that. National sales, National had a phenomenal month. True national sales, sold by the national account reps themselves. We were up 67% in March, and we're up 27% year to date in true national sales. So when you roll it all together, the totals, 10% increase in March, solid double digit, not the 16 that we're running year to date, but just a nice solid double digit growth in March and a phenomenal first quarter. Both in our commercial sales and on the flip side tomorrow, the residential sales. We had a great first quarter. And the best thing about all of it is that Pat's happy when we make profit plan, and we crushed profit plan in March.
Okay.
And after a really crappy January, we had really strong February, really strong March, and we're right where we need to be through the first quarter.
Pat's happy, we're happy.
Pat's happy, we're happy.
Go commercial.
Amen. 75K Club.
Okay.
We're going to run that video now. We talked about this sale that was made up in the Northeast. Wait till you see the numbers. Let's check out who's number one. Storm, run to the tape.
I've always had confidence in Jordan.
Yeah.
In fact, I've always promoted Jordan as
You have?
a great salesperson.
Sometimes you call him out when he's not at the top.
Yeah, it's at the top, but that is, what is that, Ed? What's in that $500,000?
Well, we talked, a big chunk of that, we talked about this, is the sale he made to Georgetown University. We talked about this a couple of months ago when he made the sale. He actually got the sale started. Because these numbers, as you know, our business got started. So all that business got started in the month of March. And
that's such a horrendous number. I mean,
it's the biggest number.
By the way, does he get like $1,000?
No, Victor. He gets his commission. He gets his commission.
Well, I just say,
and he's going to get a $500 gift card for finishing first. Nothing more than that, Victor. And everybody else on the list is going to get a $100 gift card.
By the way, I like Jacob Johnson's statement here. Holy golf balls, Batman.
Just outstanding.
That's good, man.
It was a Sourcewell sale, right? So if you're not jumping into Sourcewell and using that to leverage your contracts, you're crazy. You're crazy. It just takes a little bit of the edge out of it and makes it easy for the buyers to buy.
Yeah, nice. I mean, Jason, we see on here all the time.
Jason was the number one guy last year.
Yep.
Jordan said he's coming for him. It was interesting little back and forth with those guys on their group me. And when I saw him at President's Club last month, I'm going to get him. I told Jason.
Jason was getting cocky until he saw that $500,000. He goes, well, maybe I shouldn't get so cocky.
Well, he's still, well, Jason's always going to be cocky, but he's going to go get him, I'm sure. He's going to chase him down.
We see some familiar names here. Guillermo's on there. Brian Clark, Ohio boy.
Youngstown, Ohio boy.
Oh, let's be clear.
Youngstown, Ohio boy.
Son is there. Joseph.
Joe Goes is new, right? So Joe Goes is new. He's up in he works for Monty.
He goes by Joe Goes.
Joe Goes.
Joe Goes.
I think he goes by Joe Goes.
Joe
so
Goes.
I wanted to. So I sent a text to Monty, his sales manager up there, and she's not on it because she's in some kind of training today. Right. But I said, what did he sell? And he's selling everything.
Okay.
Like he sold a goose job, to keep the geese away. He's doing a whole bunch of mass trappings. He's working the.
He said that he sold a goose job.
He sold a goose job. He's working the customer concerns list. He's working with his techs. He's always engaged with his techs. She said he's doing all the right things.
I've never heard you mention that, the customer concern list.
Yeah, so that's when, like, if
I know what it is, but I mean.
Yeah, when they call in, and we keep records of that, right? So a lot of the really effective salespeople, they'll go chase that down. If they see something, hey, there's, they're having a problem with rodents, or they've had a second callback for mice or something like that, they'll call the customer up and say, hey, let me put another set of eyes on that for you. and they'll go out and they'll see if there's something they can add to it. And both of these new guys, I'm going to talk about Ed Ramsey in a minute, but they're selling a lot of exclusion work. You know, that stuff that they're doing on the residential side, you commercial account managers, you got to get your arms around that. We're making big sales, you know, $20,000, $30,000 sales in exclusion work to prevent things from getting in. So that's why they're working that customer concerns. You know, maybe they got a customer concern with flies, right? So they'll go out and they'll sell them a fly service, you know?
Yeah.
And it just kind of works that way. They're always kind of, I guess for lack of a better word, mining the customer concerns.
Sure.
Hey, what's going on?
Finding reasons to go back and visit the customer. I love that.
Picking up the phone, another set of eyes.
Well
Let me take a
done.
look
Well
at
done.
it.
Yeah, I love that.
Another new guy on here is Ed Ramsey out of Iowa.
Okay.
So again, I didn't know much about Ed. I think I met him at their kickoff meeting this spring.
You mean Tom Ramsey?
No, it's Ed. He goes by Ed.
But his name's Thomas?
I think he's Thomas in the system.
Okay.
So he's probably Thomas Edward.
Oh, Thomas Edward Ramsey.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we're going to make that up. Just let's call him Ed Ramsey.
Let's call him Ed Ramsey because that's what Greg Cleveland said to call him his
Yeah,
boss.
all right.
Kind of the same deal. He's selling a bunch of recurring bed bug.
Okay.
You know, commercial bed bug recurring. I don't think we see a whole bunch of that going on these days. The other thing, he sold a large exclusion job. You know, keeping rodents out, keeping critters out for like north of 20,000. I mean, he threw up 122,000.
Great numbers.
But yeah, just outstanding stuff.
Yeah.
Outstanding stuff.
Jason wants to make it clear. It's a marathon, not a sprint. That's the attitude, my man. That's the attitude, man. You know.
Amen.
Yeah.
No, he's not going to go down with that.
Jason, you should read a book called The Infinite Game. That's the mindset they have. The Infinite Game is all about, you're winning today. That's Simon Sinek.
That's Simon Sinek, yeah.
You're winning today, but you know, tomorrow might be my
might
day.
catch up with
Yeah, that's a good mindset to have. I love that.
He says, you know, Jason threw up I think he threw up like 1.8 million last year, so he got plenty in the tank because he was numero uno.
I love that. Great numbers, though. Congratulations.
Amen. Amen. So we chatted about what we want to talk about today, and I think it's gonna stretch your limits. It's gonna kind of get you thinking a little bit, right?
Yeah, this is different. This
Yeah.
is different.
Yeah.
We talked about trying to bring something different to the folks.
Yep.
To kind of pique their interest. I think this is going to pique their interest.
Yeah, and it all revolves around ChatGPT, and we got a bunch of folks that are really using it very effectively out there. You know, as I travel around, Albert Leichlater out on the West Coast is probably the best at it for us. But you showed me a little different spin on it.
Right.
You know, over the last couple of days, and let's talk about that and how we can make ourselves better.
Okay, so before we jump into the presentation, by the way, put it in the chat if you've used any of the large language models like ChatGPT, Gemini, Claude 4, and some of the others that are out there. Just put in the chat what you use and how you've used it. What I want to do, and I was talking to Ed about this, we're kind of going back and forth on ideas of information to present, and I think this is a very interesting application. Most people don't think about using ChatGPT. We'll just use ChatGPT as the general language model in terms of maybe bettering your role play. So here's what I want to do. I want to talk about what is role playing, which you already know, but how do you use ChatGPT, or I like to use Gemini, which is Google's product, to actually create a role playing scenario so I can improve. So let's first begin by defining what is prompt engineering. Prompt engineering is the practice of crafting and refining prompts or input queries to effectively guide a language model like Gemini or ChatGPT. Simply said, it's just a prompt. In other words, I use Gemini because, I don't know, I lean that way, and there's nothing wrong with ChatGPT or Claude. But here's what it looks like, and you would enter your prompt in there. Now, many of you who've used this already use it to, you know, look up information, maybe, do some research or find just data. What I want to do is I want to use it to maybe make me better as a new salesperson, a new technician in the role-playing scenario. So what I'm going to do is type in a prompt to prompt the GPT, the large language model, to engage in a role-play situation with me. Here's what it looks like. So here's the prompt. This is what I tell the large language model. Again, I'm using Gemini. I say, you are an executive assistant to the property manager at a company that manages 50 properties. Role play a prospecting call with me. You will play the executive assistant. I will play the salesperson. Give me time to respond to each of your questions and objections. I want to sell you on my pest control service, and I want to schedule a discovery meeting with your property manager, and I want to keep the role play to 5 minutes. So I entered that prompt into, let me go back so you can see it. I entered it right there where that arrow's at. I entered that prompt, and it began. It opened with, again, the goal is to get the first meeting. Gemini said, hi there, this is Sarah, executive assistant to Mrs. Joan at Alpharetta Property Management. May I ask who's calling? I then type in, this is Victor Antonio, I'd like to set up a time to speak in person with Mr. Jones about our pest control service. Does tomorrow work? The system responds, hi, Victor. Thanks for reaching out. By the way, this should be mind-blowing already that I'm actually having a conversation like this. While Mr. Jones appreciates learning about new services, in-person meetings can be quite time-consuming for him to manage with 50 properties. Would a quick call over the phone be a better option for him to learn more about your pest control service? To which I said, a 15-minute call would be just fine. Can we set up the time tomorrow? Gemini responds with, a 15-minute call might be a bit tight for Mr. Jones. In other words, it's putting up some resistance already to fully understand the specifics across 50 properties. However, I can see if he might be available for a brief 5-minute call to get a general overview. Would that work for you? If there's a good fit, we can then schedule a more in-depth conversation tailored to the Alpharetta Property Management Company. To which I said, sure. That's all I typed in, by the way. And it came back and said, perfect. Let me check with Mr. Jones' schedule. In the meantime, could you tell me a little bit about the specific services your pest control company offers for a multi-property management company? And I said, well, Orkin, as you know, is a well-established brand in the pest control industry, and we work with many property management companies who have touted our service. I'm trying to big up Orkin here, right? And then it came back, well, that's a good point. Brand recognition is important. However, by the way, when the machine says however, Ed, it's like saying but, right? Mr. Jones is particularly interested in solutions that address the unique challenges of managing pest control across a large portfolio of properties. Perhaps you could elaborate on some of the specific challenges or programs Orkin offers for multi-property management companies like ours, right? To which I said, Orkin has a guaranteed program where we will ensure our work. By the way, this probably started to make up here. And if you're not happy with the service, you simply do not pay us. We use eco-friendly liquids to eliminate different types of infestations. And it comes back, guaranteed program is definitely something Mr. Jones would be interested in, especially with 50 properties. While eco-friendly solutions are great, what about preventative measures? Notice how it's pushing me, Ed. Does Orkin offer any program specifically designed to prevent pest infestations across multiple properties, so forth and so on? And I ended it right there because I could have kept going for more than 5 minutes. But if you want to access this, again, go to gemini.google.com. It's free, by the way.
100% free.
It's you can use ChatGPT. The 3.5 version is absolutely free. You can use Anthropic's Claude, which is another. The Claude 4, I think, is also. And by the way, people always say which one's better. It's like a horse race. Every week it's changing which large language model is better. I think right now Grok is probably better, which is Elon Musk's large language model.
Yeah, I think the other thing you can do with this, so role play is always very difficult, right? And it's difficult to do in an environment. But as I think about it, I'm thinking about the objections, right, that we always get. I'm happy with my current supplier. Just think if you put that in there and let that machine help you. And if you explain a little bit about what's going on behind the scenes with this thing, where all this info and data is, it's everything on the internet, like instantly.
Instantly. So what's happening now, the big switch, so let me back out, because every time people see this, they kind of confuse it. A large language model, the best way to look at a large language model is this. Imagine for a moment that you have the capacity and the time to read every children's book ever written. You've read them all, doesn't matter, you've read them all. Now, if I asked you, I start a story, you could probably finish it for me because you've heard all these stories before. It's nothing new. It's very predictive in that sense. Oh, how about this? Simple example. You ever go to a movie, and halfway through the movie, you're like, I know what's going to happen. He's going to kill her. That's going to end there. He's going to take all the money, and the movie ends like this. And the movie actually does that. That's the whole arc of the movie. Well, how do you know that? Because in your mind, your experience, you've had all these memories of all these movies you've seen. That's what a large language model is. Now what we're starting to see is these large language models, these AI models, are now grounded. That's a key word. They're now grounded to the internet. For the first time, they're actually tied to the internet. Before, there'd be like 9-month lag, and the information isn't updated. Today, it's all updated. So when you're asking these questions, it's actually going out into the internet. It's pulled the information. I mean, not right there and then, but let's say within the last 24 hours, it's ingested the internet, basically, and it has those answers for you. So you can use almost any objection in the prompt. For example, we use the property manager. I could have said, okay, let's do this role playing. Here are the 4 or 5 objections I want you to use against me, and then I will try to overcome those.
Yeah, and I think that's a big piece there, right? You plug the objections in.
Yes.
If you're getting an objection, there's typically a handful, 3 or 4 of them, that are pretty consistent.
Right.
But if you're getting an objection that you can't handle, you stumbled with, put it in there.
Put it in
there and play with it and see what spits out.
Yeah.
Again, other people have gotten this objection. The
Yeah.
data's there. There's
all
all
in
these sales books that are out there that
Yep.
are all in there.
They're all in it.
Everybody's in there.
I want to highlight, because we talked about this, if you don't know how to respond, let's say you're just starting out, you're a new technician, new salesperson, you're just starting out, you can actually have the thing actually role play itself.
Yeah.
So I can say, okay, I want you to be not only the executive assistant, but I also want you to be the salesperson. And these are the 5 objections I want you to help me overcome. And then you can watch the large language model go back and forth.
100%.
Here's what I discovered, Ed, that it actually gave me verbiage that I didn't think of using for overcoming something. Even me.
Yeah.
I go, never looked at it that way. So it's a great example to just kind of make it role play itself and analyze the information.
Yeah, I don't know. Anybody else in there? I mean, there's got to be more of you using this. I mean, if you're not,
Shane?
man, just get in there and try it. I mean, it's crazy that you're not using one of these to write your proposals, to write even the notes that you're putting in. You know, Barry Wiles is using it to kind of monitor all his emails. How do I make this shorter? How do I make this more impactful?
It's
How do I
everywhere.
do? And you just keep typing in the prompts that say, hey, do this, make it sound better, make it sound.
By the way, it can review a whole proposal.
Yeah.
And we were talking about this before the broadcast, is that they call these context windows. You know how that little window? That context window is getting bigger. There's some now can actually do 750,000 words. So you can take a whole proposal, like let's say somebody sends a commercial proposal, right? We can take that proposal in, have the GPT look at it, review it for us, maybe even summarize it, highlight things that maybe Orkin doesn't do or does do, and then maybe even check it against some regulations. I've seen one where the company takes Orkin's proposal, and I'll just say Terminix's proposal, puts them in the GPT system, and they'll analyze them. And then they'll take their requirements and load that in the PDF file and say, which of these companies best fits
How about that?
our requirements?
How about that?
I mean, that is available today.
Yeah.
Today.
Yeah. I think that I'm going to use Albert as the example, Albert Leishleiter. He wears that gold jacket every year. He's out in California. He does everything here, everything in it. You know, he's making illustrations. I mean, he's over the top.
Yep.
You know, we got some folks that are just playing around with it right now. Get engaged with it.
You have to. I mean, you have to. This is not, I don't think people realize that this is here to stay, and this is, if you're not using, well, I'll go back. This guy from the CEO from Diffusion said something interesting. He said, AI won't replace people. People who use AI will replace people who don't use AI.
Yeah.
And if you're not using this tool, I think you're at a disadvantage.
Yeah, and I mean, if you're putting proposals together, I mean, put it in there. Give me a professional proposal.
It'll blow your mind.
And you just keep prompting it.
Yeah.
Make it shorter. Make it shorter. I'll give you an example that's kind of tough and it's close. I appreciate all the condolences. You know, my dad passed away like a week and a half ago, and a lot of you guys have reached out to me. I appreciate that, but I want to tell you what I did for him. I did this about 6 months ago. I saw one of those videos on YouTube, or actually it was a TED Talk on you should eulogize people while they're alive. So I wrote a eulogy for my dad 6-8 months ago before he passed, and I read it to him. You know, and very very emotional moment and all that kind of thing. So just think about that. Maybe I'll pin that video out because it's one of the most fabulous things I've done. We wait to eulogize people when they're gone, right? And I'm not getting on a soapbox here, but I'm gonna tell you what happened. So that thing, if I'd have read that on this past Saturday up at the Mass, the priest would have thrown me off the altar because it was like 15 minutes long. But what he told me, the priest, you know, Dominican priest, man, the Dominicans they're buckled up, right? He said, you got 5 minutes to eulogize your father. And he knew him. I mean, these guys were great friends. So what did I do with that 15-minute eulogy? ChatGPT. Yeah. I plugged it in. I said, I got to get this down to 5 minutes. Walk me through it. It probably took me an hour to make sure it got it. Don't lose that point. I need that. I need this. I need this. Right. But that's the kind of tool this could be. So if you're chatty, if you're wordy like I am, like Tim Tarantello is, you want to trim your stuff down, and you want to clean up your emails. You want your emails to be perfect. You want your responses to customers to be perfect. Use that example, and what came out was, again, some words maybe that I wouldn't have typically used.
That's what I mean.
It made me, I don't want to say smarter, but it made it more impactful, I believe. I think the 5 minutes that I delivered, you know, to Honor Pops was better than the 15 minutes I read to him. Because, you know, it went on and on and on. So if you're looking to clean your game up, to improve your game, get after it.
That's powerful what you just said. It's like, you know, your 5 minutes was more powerful than the 15 minutes you had designed. Yeah. I think that's where the tool really plays. Because it doesn't change what you want to say. Yeah. It's just how you say it.
Yeah, I mean, when I send some emails, I even say, what should I put in the header?
Yeah.
and it'll give you 5, 6 suggestions. Because if you don't have the right words in that header, the chances of getting it opened and all that knowledge is out there on the internet.
It's all there. I mean, again, using these tools for those who do use it. I think Shane says he uses a plugin. I use for example, I use Google Mail. So
Yep.
I have a plugin that always suggests how I should respond,
Yep.
and it always gives me the sentiment score.
Yeah.
Okay, this sounds a little harsh, or this person likes to be very direct, so be very direct and short with your answers. I'm like, all right.
Yeah, I mean, I lived with Grammarly, right? And I've converted all my emails not to Grammarly, but to the chat, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, because Grammarly was that one that corrected all your spelling, gave you some
Right.
sentiment,
Sure.
but not nearly as deep as the
Yeah.
ChatGPT does.
It's an amazing
so
tool.
I know it's obviously really new for a lot of folks. Jump in. Just try something today. Put in, I'm happy with who I have. I'm happy with my current supplier.
Yeah.
Or your price is too high. Give me some responses. And they won't necessarily be mine or Victor's, but you'll
Yeah.
get a whole bunch of them out there.
I actually tested mine to see if I was in there.
You are in there.
Yeah, I am in there. I found out I am in ChatGPT, so I feel like I made it.
So Albert took Victor's stuff and made a training session out of
Yeah.
it, but I didn't tell you that yet. But no, take a shot at that. I think it's one of those new things that we got a couple hundred folks on the call. From just experience, there'll be about 30 of them that'll do something with it. Other 170 won't. I encourage all of you just to take a little drive around in it today.
Yeah, it's coming your way. I mean, if you think about it, because some people think, what's a generational thing? No. This is actually going to help the older generation. Imagine you have an insurance policy and you don't understand it.
Yeah.
Drag the PDF into the ChatGPT and it'll tell you what's exactly in there. It's a tool that we're all going to be using.
Yeah. And almost 65, and I use it every day.
Yeah.
So
You got it. Well, you're a tech guy, though.
I don't know if I'm a
You're
tech
a
guy.
nerd.
So we're pushing time. Let's get out of here. I got a couple housekeeping things. I think I mentioned earlier the President's Club reports they're out. They're actually out on Rollins One. I'll make it easy for you tonight. I'll send those all out tonight and click you all up on those so you can see where you're at through the first quarter. We're 3 months in the run to the Bahamas, so 9 months left to go, and go chase Jordan because he's at the top, as you can probably imagine. We're going to do a broadcast on June 3rd on Fly Control and HSM, right? The Hilton Supply Management. Eric Hardaway and Lyle the Pelican from down there in Dallas were in yesterday and shot the video that they're going to share with you on how to approach HSM. I saw Eric yesterday. He said he went to the conference for HSM last week, the international conference, and they're mad at us because we're not getting enough of their business. We're not chasing their business hard enough, and that's kind of the message that you'll hear from Eric and Lyle, when they share that broadcast with you. Again, everything's teed up. It's that campaign that we're going through, that's gonna launch next month, and that's what we want you to focus on to chase that business. They want from the CEO's lips, you guys aren't getting enough of our business. Now, the HSM guy, the CEO, is looking for the rebate money, right, Victor? So he's pushing it that way, but really the message was you guys aren't being aggressive enough chasing our business. So I encourage you to go chase that business because they're trying to support us to get that business over. The other piece that we're going to have is we're going to do a piece on fly control, which I think is kind of timely. We've launched these campaigns, these trainings, and I think they've had a great lift. The scent services stuff, some of the rodent stuff that we've done, all these kind of campaigns that we're pushing out in this training is seeing a direct result in sales. Our scent services sales, Victor, for the first quarter are up. They're like almost tripled, right,
Really?
year over year.
Wow.
And I think it's just that education and understanding that. So you're going to see that. You're going to hear from your peers. I think that's the best thing about these broadcasts is it's not me and Victor up there telling you how to sell it. It's guys and gals that have had success doing it.
I'm bullish on the scent.
Yeah,
I'm bullish on the scent.
yeah. It's exploding, and
Yeah.
you see it kind of migrating its way around the country where
Yeah.
it catches on, and
Yeah.
they're looking over there. Like, what the heck they doing over there? I got to do more of that.
Yeah.
So again, the broadcast on June 3rd, I'm sorry, May 3rd. May 3rd? Yeah, May 3rd is June 3rd. June 3rd. Yeah, June 3rd is going to be focused on that. So look forward to that. And again, they're going to build the same toolkits that we've got in there to help them out that way. And then really just paying attention to your safety. We didn't have a horrible safety first quarter, but it wasn't as good as it could be.
Okay.
And if we reduce these claims,
Right.
if we fix some of our bad driving habits, with all these tools that we're using,
Right.
then I think we're going to have
What's the big metrics they're pushing you on? Like, is there a metric?
Well, there's an app that's on their phones.
Right. But is there a metric that they use within the usage time or something like that?
Yeah.
On time? I don't know.
They got to be there. And the
Right.
biggest one we got is we're getting rear-ended, and we're rear-ending folks still to this day.
Oh,
Even with all the safety stuff we've got on our Toyotas. But
Gotcha.
But just try to be more careful out there. It's
Yep.
going to get busy. The other thing that's happening too, that it's very active right now. We've had the biggest week. Probably the last week was the biggest week we had residential pest control sales-wise. All year. It kind of builds anyway, but the bugs are starting to move. I mean, they're starting to move.
Early.
I mean, things are happening.
Yeah.
And I mean, we had almost a $2 million day on Monday. We didn't have a $2 million day last year until into May. So it's starting to come. I mean, we've had 7 straight monster days of lead volume. And,
I believe it.
And folks coming to us. So be ready for that. I think that let's talk about this just a little bit.
If you want to, yeah.
Yeah, let's.
Wasn't meant to
and
talk
we're
about
going to
it,
put a contest up for Victor's book. You talk about it.
So anyway, back in the 1980s, a guy by the name of Jim Cathcart wrote the book Relationship Selling. Long story short, I did an event last August. I was fanboying him. I got to be honest.
Me too.
I was like a fanboy around him. And then he said to me, Ed, he said, would you like to help me rewrite the next version? And I'm like, what? I thought he was messing with me.
Yeah.
But he was serious. So we've written the next version of Relationship Selling. And I tried to really update it with today's language, use some AI in there just a little bit, but just try to make it more modern. And so it's going to be launched officially March 4th.
I will.
May 4th, sorry, May 4th.
If you tell me that you got into ChatGPT for the first time today and shoot me an email, I'll get you a copy of that book. I'll get you a copy of that book when it comes out May 1st. How's that? Or May 4th.
Yeah.
Fair enough?
May 4th.
You got to shoot me an email and say, hey, I jumped into ChatGPT. Give me a little feedback on it. I liked it, I loved it, I hated it, I couldn't figure it out.
Yeah.
But give me a little feedback. Take that initiative. So that's kind of my Victor nudge.
Yeah, thank you. That's a good nudge.
To get
And
in
by the
there.
way,
And I'll buy the book.
By the way, for the commercial sector,
Phenomenal.
this book lines up nicely.
Yeah.
It really does. I can't give it a hard push for residential as much,
Right.
but it definitely for the commercial market lines up. So
Amen. And
check it out.
I was a fanboy in the 80s.
Yeah.
That's
Good
one of the
stuff.
books that's still on my shelf.
Yeah, it's a good book.
Still on my shelf.
Even better now, but yeah, thank you.
Well, yeah, it's got your touch to it, right?
Yeah, just a small touch.
Absolutely. I think that's all we got today. Appreciate the first quarter, just outstanding. Keep bringing it, and
Great numbers.
stay safe out there.
Great.
Have a big
Congratulations,
April.
guys.